Oh, that's your line, Mama Ruth.
Good morning, everyone. Wake up. Even though it's cloudy outside, let's have a great day. What a beautiful day, isn't it?
It is fall. I thought we'd never see it. Quite honestly,
I'm not too happy about it. I don't really like that cold weather anymore.
Oh, you call this? You think this is cold weather? Oh man, I guess my childhood in New York broke me.
She's from San Antonio. Everything's cold to her. So she's.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, welcome to Coffee and Ponduce. I'm Christian Cano, one of your co-hosts, along with Mama Ruth, and we also have Stephen, our neighbor, who's filling in for Jeff Scott. I want to welcome you who are watching us live on Facebook, but also those who watch us later on YouTube and also on Facebook as well, because you don't want us to know you're watching us. Today is September 20th. What is it?
Third.
Holy camoli, we're almost in October.
My mama's birthday is tomorrow.
Oh, happy birthday, Mom. Yeah. Well, yes. So listen, we are so happy. Our neighbor Barb is not able to join us today because she is having some work done in her house again. I wish I was the contractor for her house. I mean, that person is making a mint. And we are sorry to say that Jenny James Gunn is no longer with our show. We do miss her, and we hope her the best for on the things that she is doing. She does great work for so many organizations. And of course, Jeff Scott, our other co-host, is on hiatus until after the election. We're still hoping to have maybe a surprise appearance one day before his election on November 3rd.
Well, I hope we have him on the candidates date or, something.
Exactly. Yeah, we're going to talk about that show here in a second. And we do have a candidate on gubernatorial candidate.
Right? For Scott.
Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes we forget. We've got a person here who's running for governor of North Carolina. So, and he's polling like at 5%. That is really, no, I mean, you don't realize when your margins are like 3 or 4%, that is an incredible number. We can talk kind of briefly about that. But before we do that, we're going to go around the Brady Bunch screen for those.
We have a special guest.
Yes, we have a special guest today. He is we'll let him kind of introduce himself and tell us who you are. If you have an imaginary button, tell us what that button would be. And that gives me time on this end to share us on our platforms. So let's since we've got this going, let's go Mama Ruth, Stephen, and then Josh, we'll do you last so that way you have some time to tell us who you are. All right, here we go.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. This is Ruth Perez. Y'all know me already. Everybody calls me Mama Ruth. I am a community advocate here in Charlotte, in North Carolina, and in the surrounding counties as well. So my imaginary button today, I am very, very heartbroken of so many bad things that are going on. I'm not against amendment number 2, but I would like to see some good gun sense reform. We have a 5-year-old and an 11-year-old being shot out of nowhere in the comfort of their home this past week, 2 days ago. So that is something that we have to kind of be conscious about. And of course, as y'all know, I want Medicare for all. That's my imaginary 2 buttons that I have today. Next.
I'm Stephen DiFiore, the Libertarian gubernatorial candidate for governor of North Carolina in 2020. You can go to my website, stephenfornorthcarolina.com. That's Stephen with a V for northcarolina.com. You can also follow me at social media at Steve4Gov. That's at Steve with a V for the number 4Gov. And if I had an imaginary button, it would be, I guess, repeal certificate of need laws. I know a lot of folks who watch the show like Medicare for all. I'm not a big fan, but I do think the costs of medical care is too high, and it's kept artificially high because of government-sanctioned monopolies in the healthcare industry, and we call those the mechanism by which that happens certificate of need. It's anti-competition, anti-consumer, it's anti-doctor, and it's pro-establishment and monopoly, which I'm not a fan of. So if I had a button, it would be end CON laws. That's all.
And Josh.
I'm Joshua Flores, guys. I am a big advocate across North Carolina and across the country. I have traveled to many states to advocate for conservative Latinos and have a voice, give them a voice across the platform to understand, that conservative values are the way to go for this country instead of a socialism platform. If I had a button, I will, have a button where we can start actually rebuilding this country and starting loving each other and stop fighting.
Wonderful. Good. That's a good button. Well, listen, I'm Christian Cano, one of your co-hosts, and I'm so glad to join you today, especially since it's getting colder here in North Carolina. I love fall weather, even though we are not able to actually go to any football games because I can't afford the tickets. But if you were able to go to a football game, this is football season, but I do miss football. I don't know, the fans are the piping and noise, I don't even notice anymore. So my buttons are Medicare for all. I support it more from a financial point of view because it actually cuts the cost of healthcare. And I also support women, trusting women in the decisions they make. I'm pro-life, but I believe that women should be able to decide what is best for them. And I can't remember. We also have baby Trump Pinata, who is with us, who his nephew, as you know, his cousin was saved last week from being, he's baby Trump Pinata, Jenny James Gunn saved baby Trump Pinata from being hit because she believes that, in nonviolence and so forth. And baby Trump Pinata has a Medicare for all, Cynthia Wallace for Congress, as do I, and also has a copy of the Constitution and Moms Demand Action as well, gun sense. So, Josh, I will admit, you are the first, I know a lot of Trump's, oh, yes, I'm sorry. As we always do in Coffee and Ponduce, let's salute to our neighbors. If you have something in your hand, let's salute. Ching. And we also want to thank Manolo's Bakery, our Ponduce sponsor. I actually ran into Manolo yesterday when I went to pick up the Ponduce. He was on his way to the mountains where he travels, I think, once a week or a couple of times a week to deliver bread to the migrant workers who work on the tree farms here in North Carolina. I don't know if people know that, but North Carolina and Oregon, I believe, they produce, I think, 80% of the Christmas trees and wreaths and so forth. And so we have a huge industry here. So I did run into him yesterday. And so once again, Manolo's Baker on Central Avenue, I obviously like the Conchas, and please visit them whenever you have a chance. So with that said, let's go back to Josh. So Josh, listen, I'll admit, I have members of my family. I have a huge family. I think we have on my mom's side of the family, that's just one side. I think we have 70 voters with my aunts, my first cousins. And I think, I don't know, because we're not allowed to talk politics in that side of the family. I would say about 60% of them are probably voting for Biden and about 40% are probably voting for President Trump. I don't know, but I would guess because I know them. On my dad's side of the family, my probably 80% are voting for Trump and 20% are voting for Biden. And then on my stepmom's side of the family, I would say about 100% are voting for Biden. So I have a very diverse family. And one of the reasons it's so great to have you here is because there is this misperception that Latinx individuals or Hispanics, whatever term you use, are all the same. And so it's great to have a different point, a voice here, just as Mama Ruth is different than I am. So I guess the easiest question I have, and I want everyone else to ask questions as well, is why do you support President Trump?
Well, guys, I am a young activist. I'm 25 years old. I've been in politics since I was about 12 years old. So I always had a passion about doing something like this. And, in 2016, when the election came up, I saw so many candidates on the board for the Republican ballot. Even though that my dad is conservative and my mom's conservative as well, I had a choice to either go left or right. With the platform going left with the Democratic Party was an ideology of going socialism. And I have seen different countries. with socialism. But when I saw the platform on who is running in 2016, I was looking at candidates who are going to benefit the people of this country. And when President Trump came down, then candidate Trump came down in Trump Towers, I looked at this guy. I'm like, well, this guy may be a billionaire, but he is an outsider. He's a political outsider, and he's so rich, he can't, he owes nothing to nobody. And since 2015, I was on the what you call the Trump train, is what you call it. Yeah. And I looked at this guy. I was like, Mom, he's going to be the next president. Dad, he's going to be the next president. And they all agree with me because we were sick and tired of electing politicians that have been in office years after years and not have accomplished nothing. So we was looking at everything. And so when he started talking about Mexico and he started talking about reforms for communities, I looked at myself, I'm like, this guy knows what he's talking about. This guy understands what a lot of people want in this country. People ask me all the time, as a Latino, why would you support him? And, it's a question that I always get asked. And it's amazing on the type of comments that I get back from some people. But, it's just the way he presents himself, the way he holds himself, the way he doesn't have a filter. And that's what I'm looking into when I look at candidates is I'm tired of the sugarcoating crap that goes on in our political world. I want to know the truth and nothing besides the truth. And that really drew me to President Trump.
Well, I mean, and that's, that's kind of what I hear about many people who support the president and who support Trump. I know when I ran in 2016 for Congress, there were people who were Trump supporters who voted for me. And, I had conversations with them and, tried to understand their point of view and what were the issues that were concerning to them. Let's see. Stephen, do you have a question or do you have I don't want to monopolize this here.
Oh yeah, no. Like it's an idea that I hear a lot, right? So, I'm not a Republican and I'm not a Democrat. I'm a Libertarian Party member, candidate and voter, right? So, in 2016, I voted for Gary Johnson because that's what you do, right? I liked his platform. I liked what he stood for, and I wasn't a big fan of the choices that were put before the American people by the duopoly. But to give Josh's point some breathing room, one of the things that I've noticed, because I have family members who are on the Trump train as well, and some friends and associates who are fans of Trump. And one of the things that they say that they like about him is that he's not this same kind of usual polished and saccharine politician. He seems like a regular guy, and it's a real, in my opinion, a real condemnation of our political system that a New York City billionaire is more like a regular Main Street American than pretty much everybody else that the two political parties put up for those offices. I mean, how sick of a system must we have when that's the guy that is more relatable to the everyday Joe than than anybody else. So that's usually what I get from people who say, "Oh yeah, I like Trump for this and that reason." It's a very weird thing where a lot of these politicians have been in office in their positions of power longer than I've been alive. It's kind of like a new royalty, a new aristocracy. That our system, at least at the national level, seems more like a rapacious oligarchy than the democracy we were taught about as kids. And people don't necessarily know that like in their front of their mind. They more like intuit that. It's like more of a low level intuition. They feel it in their gut. But it's a feeling that's there, and I can empathize with that. That's why I generally don't support the duopoly in any way, shape, or form. Although I did vote for you, Christian, in 2016 because I liked your stance on farmers and farming.
And I lost by 1 vote, so I think you made that up. So I just, no, I'm joking. Listen, Mama Ruth, what do you have to add?
Oh Lord.
I can see
Sorry,
you.
y'all. We're live. So I mean,
Yeah.
me being born in Texas, coming from a foreign country, my family, I have a lot of my family members that are Republicans. And I respect that. And as y'all know, I'm not either. I'm an independent. I choose who I want. But when I hear Josh speak, it kind of it tears up my heart more. Because yes, I might agree with him in some of his points, but idolizing a person that pretends to be a billionaire and not owing, like he said, anything, shows me that we are blind in some way. And I don't mean to disrespect you, Josh, but just by going into the books and checking out how many he's the role model of stealing companies. He's a role model of calling out names to our Mexican people. When you say being Mexican and he called Mexico, did you not hear when he called Mexicans, all Mexicans are rapists, drug dealers? They bring violence. It really, really, I mean, I'm not talking about the man up there as a leader to the United States. I'm talking as a human being trying to say that he loves God, trying to just share all that beautiful love, sugarcoating love. But underneath, we have kids in cages right now. We have families that are tearing apart because of immigration. And our family, we have to put up with our family as well. Even though I was born here, that doesn't make me forget that my family had to pay the price to come into this country, to help build this country so we can be here. So we kind of have to be fair on that. We kind of have to understand that, yes, if you're a Republican, that's fine. But let's move another president into our government, not him. He is nowhere to be a good role model for our country.
I don't know if you want to reply, Josh, or
I got one thing to add about the kids in cages real quick, and then Josh, I want to get your take on it. So, as a libertarian, I've been critical of the border policy from CPD, ICE, the detention centers on the border for a long time. And I do remember a couple of years ago when the pictures of kids in cages first blasted all over the news, right? Every single major news outlet, the photographs that they used to talk about Trump's kids in cages dated back from 2014.
Obama. Mm-hmm.
Now, who was the president in 2014?
Yeah.
Those cages were first put up back in between 2001 and 2008. Who was president during that period of time? Here's the thing, and this is why I am not a fan of the duopoly, and I think they're all crooks and criminals. They put these up. They are, the Constitution of the United States gives people who live in the United States rights or protections on their rights. And our Declaration of Independence says our rights are inalienable. It doesn't say our citizens' rights are inalienable. It says human rights are inalienable. The protections for our rights in the Constitution are not merely limited to citizens. They're for whomever lives in the United States. So every human being who lives in the United States has constitutional protections for our rights. And those rights were being violated. They were violated under Bush. They are violated under Obama, and they continue to be violated under Trump. And if Biden wins, they'll continue to be violated under Biden as well, because the people in power at that level don't care. And I find it very disheartening that the news took this story, this huge human interest story, and they ignored it while their guy was in office. And the second the dude they don't like, right, they blow it up. And it took them several months to get pictures of the current administration's conditions. And to the current administration's credit, some of those issues started to be fixed. Not nearly enough, not nearly fast enough. But it is a disgusting system that doesn't treat human beings like human beings. And it is one of the things that I really dislike about it. And when treating people like people becomes a political issue, we've gone off the rails somewhere. And that's one of the reasons why I don't support the duopoly. But I apologize for grandstanding. I'll let you all speak a little bit.
That's fine. I was about to ring the bell. So Josh, I mean, I don't know if you want to comment or reply, because I have a couple of questions for you, but do you have anything you want to say?
Yeah. So I want to go back to Mama Ruth there. You know, when we talk about the president talking about there are bad people coming across the border, and there's no evidence of him saying that Mexicans are bad people. There are people coming from other countries. Our southern border don't only see illegal, Mexicans who come across the border. They also see illegal immigrants across the world crossing that main border. The southern border is the main border for this country for people to come in legally. And you know, you get the MS-13 gangs that are coming in. They're hurting our country. That are destroying our community. For example, if you go out to the western part of North Carolina, not North Carolina, but the western part of the United States, where this illegal immigrant came into this country and actually killed a couple that has been married over 40 years, an elder couple broken their.
Josh, I'm sorry, but I mean, it's not about who came to this country. He publicly, worldwide, said it. Mexicans are coming here.
There's no evidence of him saying that. If you go back and look at his videos, it states that there are bad people coming across our southern border.
No, he said Mexicans. And I'm not originally Mexican. It bothers me.
There's no evidence of him saying that. Everybody has told me that he has said this. He has said there's no evidence that he have said that he said that.
So Josh, no, I mean to interrupt you, but so maybe we can agree on something. If he did say that, do you think that would be something that would not be presidential, or something that we should tolerate someone saying?
Well, we've been saying, you know, these are good people coming across the border, like Barack Obama has been saying for years, and George, and we weren't a fan of George W.H. Bush, and he was a Republican. You know, being nice got us nowhere in life. Being nice got us more immigrants. But
I understand that. I think the question, or what some of the people, the reason that they were concerned about what he says is because we have to be honest. No one believes that President Bush tells the truth.
The one that started against our immigrants, it's not even near George Bush. It was back in Jimmy Carter. If you go back to the books and read the stories when he tried to build up the wall, that's when everything started and began.
So Jimmy Carter was a Democrat. So why is everybody getting mad at Trump for enforcing the law of this land?
Yeah.
When Obama was doing this stuff, when Obama started doing this stuff, they didn't say nothing about Obama doing that when he putting people in cages. But when Trump magically starts enforcing the law of the land, then he becomes a racist. Well, that's not how politics work. You can't be a double-sided sword.
No, I hear what you're saying. I think that I question. I think one of the reasons that some people have some concerns, or at least I know the reason that I have concern about President Trump, because I hear all the stuff that he says, all the rhetoric and all the buffoonery, in my view, and I hear all of that stuff. And I hear what you say when you say that there are people like you who like him because he says what he says, and you know, there's not really a filter on him, and I get that. I don't mind someone like that. I just don't want that in a president. I don't mind having someone like that as a buddy drinking at a bar or watching a game. I just don't want that as a president. And since we are the hiring managers, because I see this position as a job, is that the type of person that I want to hire for this job? I don't mind it that he does this. I don't mind that he talks the way he does on his reality shows or whatever the case may be. But just for me, and I think that's one of the reasons why people are going to be voting against him, is because we don't want that reality in the president of the United States. Maybe we want that on a TV show, but not actually as president. And so I see why there are people who like him because of that, and they're going to be voting for him. But there are also a lot of people who don't want that in the type of leader. Like, I would never hire someone like President Trump. I mean, I would laugh with him during the interview and I would, hey, that's funny, pull my finger, all that kind of stuff. But as far as like hiring him and having to work with some other people, he would cost me so much money in lawsuits as a hiring manager that he would not be worth it. And so for me, I look at it as kind of a hiring manager. But I do want to say one thing you said about MS-13, because I don't think there's anyone who's concerned about those kind of things. But when our own intelligence agencies.
Hey, what do you mean they're not concerned about that type of thing, like MS-13? Can you?
No, I do think that people, Americans are concerned about violence, all kinds of violence. What I'm saying is that, we're all worried about gangs and
there's gangs here in the United States.
Yeah, I mean, all kinds of violence.
The Red, the Creeds.
But we do know that our own intelligence agencies here, and I remember in 2016 when our own intelligence agencies said the biggest threat to America is not terrorist, it's domestic terrorism and white nationalists. That was our biggest threat to America. And even today, I'm more worried about a Baptist preacher molesting a kid than I am about MS-13 killing someone. I mean, just the data shows us that tend to be the case. So I understand what you're saying about MS-13, but I think other people realize that we have other dangers here in America. And I think one of the reasons that people get concerned about when Trump says these things is because he's very selective what he says. He says MS-13, but he doesn't talk about white nationalists. He says, he says one thing, but he doesn't talk about other things. And I think what we want as a president, or I know me, I want someone who talks about all the issues. Like, give you an example. President Trump hasn't said anything about medical cannabis for our military people. He hasn't talked about infrastructure ever since he first ran for office. And I was kind of liking what he said in 2016 about infrastructure, building our roads. He hasn't talked about any of that stuff. And I think that's the concern that some people have, or at least I have. I don't know. Does anybody want to add anything?
I mean, at least he hasn't started another war like the other presidents have. Yes. So at least that's one good thing, right? Yeah. I have a question for you, Josh. Actually, so you're the the head guy, the head organizer for Latinos for Trump. What first got you interested in that, and how did you start that? What were the steps to go through to start an organization, like a kind of a grassroots organization for a candidate that you liked?
Well, like I said, I'm not the president or anything of this organization. I go out and I educate the Latino community. I have a business on myself. I own a nonprofit called Latinos for Freedom. And that has to be a different subject because I cannot talk about it when we're talking about single candidates because of my laws. I'm at the moment we're trying to. I go out and I do my best. Hang on one moment. Well, hey, repeat the last part what you said now.
So I was asking, so when you saw a candidate that you liked, and then you decided, I'm going to do something and go out into the public and start talking to people and try to convince them to my point of view. How did that happen? Like, what were the steps that you took? What were the people that you met? Like, how did you go about forming a community activist sort of organization for either policies or a candidate that you liked? I'm interested in the details of that story.
Yeah. So when I go out and talk, I actually go out to Latino communities. For example, we was in a town called Candor, North Carolina, which is in Montgomery County yesterday. Heavily Latino, including my county's Latino. And I go out to these communities and I talk about, what do you believe in? I have no rights to tell somebody how to vote.
Mhm.
That's one thing I would never do. But I go out and I explain conservative values to these people, to the Latino culture, and I get an understanding on where they're coming from. I had a good conversation, for example, yesterday encountered with a man that has a poultry place. He was sitting in his business. I went in there and asked, are you registered to vote? He said, no, I'm here on a work visa. I said, would you like to start your citizenship so you can become a fully active citizen? He said, he told me he said, wait throughout the election to see if Trump can get out of office. Mm-hmm. And I told the guy, I said, Trump will be in there for 4 more years. And I told him, I said, I was sitting there, I said, why does he want you to wait when we can go ahead and help you start your road to citizenship here fully, and you can get off the work visa.
Sure.
And so when I go out to these people and I talk to them about conservative values, on understanding, pro-life, pro-God, and pro-gun, and so many more. And, a lot of them talk about, there have been told to believe in this ideology of thinking one-sided. And so at the end of the day, I go out and I target, and it's similar to when I get one on board with me to understand how I think, and they do their own research. That's what I tell people: do your own research. Don't listen to the news. The news, either side. I don't care if it's Fox, CNN, MSNBC, a local news channel. Stop watching the news and do your research. And I have done my research on candidates, especially when President Trump came on board. And I go out and I do your own research. Think for yourself. Be a free thinker. And then that's when you see the grassroots start there. And here in the past 3 weeks here in North Carolina, I have registered over 50 Latinos to actually to support the president. I didn't tell them how to vote. I gave them a platform on the Republican and Democrat and independent ballots, independent candidates. And I said, what ideology, what side do you fall on? And I released the whole thing where I got the information from, everything. They can actually do their own research. But when I'm out and about, even though I'm a Republican or a conservative that voted for President Trump, I give them the tools to do their own research. And then I give them my personal number.
Well, listen, I did want to say something. I was going to say at the end, but I want to go ahead and say it now. I find it incredibly refreshing. I don't support the president, our President Trump. I'm a Biden supporter, and Biden was not my first choice. But I find it incredibly refreshing that you are so engaged in getting people out to vote when we have people your age who we can't even get to vote. And so I do have to say that regardless of whether we agree or disagree, as a Democrat, we sit here and complain all the time how we can't get young people engaged and we can't get people this. So who are we, I can say as a Democrat, to complain when we see someone who's doing it? Just because I don't know, they may not agree with you, at least we have to say, hey, I'm just sad.
Passion for it.
Exactly. I'm just sad that we didn't get you to work on our side, And so, there is a part of me that has to say, because I've been out there in the rural areas too, and I know that Democrats do a very bad job of talking to rural voters, a very bad job. They want to touch your hand. They want to hear what you have to say. They're not really loyal to Democrats or Republicans. They're loyal to a specific candidate or a specific issue. And so I appreciate the fact that you're doing that, because Democrats who are watching this show, I think we have to almost be ashamed that we don't have as many people that age going out there talking to these individuals because the impression is, as you said, they're Latino, they're going to vote Democrat. I'm not going to pay attention to them. Or they're Black, or they're farmers, or they're just, and you've got to earn every single vote. And so I appreciate the fact that you're doing that. Now, I don't agree with some of the things, but it's like you said, I mean, we don't have to agree with each other. Our job is to sell the person that we're trying to get elected, and then people make the decision who they want to, who they want to be. So I do want to thank you for doing that. And I hope the next elections we can get you on our side.
I see that you have a real quicker here. I see that you have, I see that you got Cynthia Wallace in the back there. I live in the 9th district as well. So, even with when Mark Harris was running and all this other stuff and people was like, well, blah, 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 crook. Well, there was Dallas was the one that was doing the voter fraud. I mean, I don't, it's a shame that our party was part of that. I won't say it's embarrassing, but it's shameful to act to see people like that in my party. And I mean, just like the Democratic Party, you hate to see it. You hate to see that because you want to actually have a fair election, regardless of who wins.
Josh, I was going to tell you because you didn't see, if you've watched our show, which you may have, but I would go back like during that time of the election and watch us. I was very critical of Dan McCready and Democrats because the only way that was able to happen to Black older voters in those areas is because Dan McCready didn't care about him. And he didn't care enough about him that they were able to be bamboozled. Had he just gone and talked to them or did a robocall or said, hey, I'm Dan McCready, vote. Then when someone came to their door, they would have said, oh, hold on a second. But because he ignored them, that's the reason that people are able to be bamboozled is because you're ignored like that. So as Democrats, we have to apologize and say, I'm sorry that we have almost, forgotten you for a while. Go ahead, Mama Ruth.
Just to clarify, we have a viewer. Her name is Mercedes Gutierrez. And, I don't agree with none of her comments, but it's okay. That's what the show is for. And, but she made a comment right now, and I want to clear this up. I am a fully Christian. I believe in Jesus Christ, and I love God to my bones. That doesn't make me an immoral person. She's talking about moral. Democrats support abortion of 9 months born alive humans. Get your facts right. We support pro-choice. I agree. I'm a woman. I'm a mother of 5 boys. And I agree with whatever decision a human person decides to do on their own body. Why? Because the only one that we're going to give our final desires and our steps and whatever we did right or wrong, and we're going to be judged by, is the one that created us. When I had a molar pregnancy, I didn't have a choice. They had to remove the fetus inside of me. If not, I was going to die. So did I want to commit an abortion? No. It was something that my body was rejecting and I needed to get it done. So please don't put that on our people, making them believe that they're going to hell or they're accepting abortions, because that's not right. Every single person has the right to make their own choices. Just like a drug dealer, just like a drug consumer, just as a drunkie, just as a prostitute, just as a simple liar. You make your own decisions.
Good point. Yeah, I'm pro-life. My whole almost all my family is pro. That's the whole reason my mom voted for Ted Cruz for that one specific issue. But Stephen, you want to add anything? You look like you're chomping at the bits there.
No, I'm just it's nice to not be the guy being dogpiled on for a change. Oh. No, I'm playing. You guys are great. I'm just trying to think of where there's overlap between, say, rural Republican voters and the Libertarian Party. So, for example, I have some supporters up in Statesville, which is kind of a rural community, and they're fantastic. I love them. they're Trump supporters, you know, and you got my Steve for Governor sign right next to a Trump sign. It's like, I got to go get some Bernie bros to support me now, so I can have that dichotomy in my social media feed, which I found in another rural county out in Gaston County, which is nice. But you know, there's a lot of overlap between, let's say, the libertarian position of you own your life, you own your body, you know, you have the right to make the choices you want, you have the right to choose what means of self-defense you want, you have a right not to be taxed out the wazoo just to earn a living or own a piece of property, you know. So there's a lot of that. I think so often we get hung up on the things that don't actually matter. And I'll talk about the abortion thing for a bit. There was a big kerfuffle in the General Assembly about the Born Alive Act, like a dust up, like a little fight over the Born Alive Act, right? And the thing is, you had, you know, the Republicans wanted to throw out the Born Alive Act. It was red meat for their base. Okay, whatever. It basically says that if there's a botched abortion, the kid is born, you got to keep it alive or take care of it and all that, right? Okay, like that's fine. You know, one of the big criticisms of the bill was that, well, it doesn't really matter because like that doesn't actually happen with modern abortion techniques. It's like, okay, so it doesn't happen. So why oppose it? Like it's a law that doesn't do anything, which as a libertarian, like I'm cool with that. I'm cool with the law that actually doesn't do anything, right? But one of the interesting things, one of the reasons why the current governor had to oppose it was because he was doing a lot of fundraising up in New York. And New York is a state that passed it was a poorly written law that legalized like late term abortion or something, you know, up to like some obscene age. Now, whether that runs afoul of federal law or not, I'm not really sure because I don't really care about New York laws all that much. It doesn't affect us down here in North Carolina. But I did find it interesting that a lot of Democrats in the General Assembly, purely for partisan game, drew that line in the sand saying, oh, we got to oppose this law, even though it's not going to do anything because our donors are from a state where like people are really interested in this thing. And, you know, I get this a lot when I do grassroots organization because a lot of people throw out the Libertarian Party's position on abortion, which is, you know, our position is we don't think the government should have anything to do with it, right? We got people in our party who are pro-choice, people in our party who are pro-life. Generally, we want the government out of the business because, which, you know, that's not the proper place for government in our opinion. And your mileage may vary, but a lot of people will say like, oh, abortion is a terrible thing. We don't want women to be in these clinics, or like to have that choice. And it's like, okay, yeah, I agree with you. Let's do something about unwanted pregnancies or teen pregnancies or things like that, because no one gets rid of a pregnancy they want, generally speaking, right? So, you know, we know that, for example, if you do comprehensive sex ed or have at least that option, because, you know, some people will want to opt out because of religious considerations, and that's perfectly fine, but have the option, you know, like in the school system for, you know, I don't know, seniors or sophomores or whatever, or juniors or whatever, whatever age that you typically see the uptick in teen pregnancies. You know, that's the year you want to start giving people some education on like what they can do to be safe, right? And those rates will go down. Another thing is increased educational opportunity for young women in poor communities, because typically abortion is something that people of lower income brackets, you know, fall into for a whole myriad of reasons. But we know that if you focus educational like sort of programs and opportunities for young women in those areas, you know, they choose other options more often. And so the general rate goes down. So, you know, there are the duopoly, you know, the Republicans, the Democrats, they want to focus at the end state where there've already been a series of societal failures rather than start at the very beginning. We're like, well, let's make sure that the situation that leads a woman into this unfortunate situation doesn't happen to begin with, right?
Hey, I got to ring my bell.
Yeah. All right. There you go. Bell's rung.
Sorry about that. Because I have another question for Josh. Hey, Josh, you were so true. You were so correct when you were reminding us about some of the things. And Ruth and I know this for sure. We used to call Obama the deporter in chief, by the way. And our Latinx community, and especially a lot of really activists, Latinos, people who are fighting for our undocumented, and those kind of individuals, were very, very upset at President Obama. And it's interesting how we have just kind of forgotten, or they have kind of forgotten those kind of things just to kind of fit their narrative. So, you know, to
it's
be
the same way a lot of Latinos have forgotten about the harsh comments that our president said, and now they're voting.
Well,
but you're not showing proof on where what he's saying that at.
Well, I think I think he said it when he came down the elevator. I think it was the very first thing that he said, that very first speech.
He did say some are good people.
When he actually said he was running for president.
Yeah. So
he said there are bad people coming across this border, and people in this country.
No. He said Mexico is sending. Let me read it to you because I have it right here.
She fact checked.
Yeah.
Okay,
he said when Mexico sent, and he said it June 16, 2015. Okay. He said when Mexico sent its people, they're not sending their best. He said in the same speech that I'm telling you, they're not sending you. They're not sending you at all. They're sending people that have lots of problems, and they're bringing those problems with us. They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crimes, and they're rapists. And nobody made it up. It's not a fiction of his voice. Go and see all his videos. So go and see the speeches, and you'll understand. But I'm gonna leave it like that.
Video, it states that he says some are good, some are good. Go watch the end of that video, because I have seen that clip cut off so many times, and people's like, well, he said, no, he did not say that. They are bringing bad people. Mexico is not doing their jobs. They're bringing the MS-13.
But when you say Mexico are bringing, Mexico doesn't want our people to leave. People are leaving because they're needing a better life for their family.
They come to this country
Nobody
legally.
wants to leave their country just for fun.
We have a constitution to go by. We have laws. It's not a God-given right to come to this country.
Did you know that a lot of Americans are actually deciding to leave their own country and try to go to other countries to live because it's better down there? Better affordable housing.
Go live in a different country, because as soon as you mention God in some of these countries, you'll be dead before you hit the ground. Go live in Germany where you don't have any freedom. I have a friend in Germany that's over there now, and he's part of Germany, and he's part of the LGBT community, and he is shamed for doing that. That's why he wants to come to America, to live a life where we accept you for who you are. I got friends in that community. I got friends that come across this border, but I got friends who come across this border and that come across legally. At the end of the day, we are a nation of law. If you can't come in this country legally, then you stay out of this country. Because if we do that, we're gonna allow everybody to come in, and we're gonna have a war within our own country.
See, that's being selfish, I think, because nobody owns the earth. Listen, nobody owns the earth. Men did all those laws, and if you go by whatever y'all prophesy and talk about, saying about God, God gives us the order to protect the orphan, the widow, and the foreign, and we're not doing that. So we're slash right there.
And I'll just say this: while everyone was clutching their pearls over Trump's statements, the current president at the time was keeping kids in cages, and no one seemed to care about that. As though, and
you're right, Stephen. But
I encourage everyone to take a look at the conditions those people had to suffer, right?
I agree with that, but it wasn't public. We didn't know about it. If we would have known about it while he was doing all that, we would have done something.
I think, Mama Ruth, I think you make a really good point. And Josh, this is one of the things I hope you understand about those who aren't voting for Trump. Not everyone is not voting for Trump. The people who aren't voting for Trump are for different reasons, just like people who are voting for Trump are voting for him for different reasons as well. So just because I'm not voting for Trump, it's not necessarily because of the things that he said are just buffoonery. Like I said, it's like a drunk guy at a bar that you're like, just shut him up, just let him talk. So that doesn't bother me. What bothers me is he's just a really bad president. I mean, and in my view on how he's handled certain situations, he doesn't handle a situation to make it better. And anyone who is in a position of leadership like that, regardless if you're a Democrat or Republican, you have to represent everyone. And I think that is one of the reasons that we gave him 4 years, to prove that he can handle the job. And every single day, it's like drama. It's like watching a telenovela.
A fantastic job for 4 years.
Yeah. Because even his own family is writing books against him and saying all the little things out there. So
that's what's wrong with this country. Is people don't want to hear the truth in this country. This is what's wrong with this world right now. Is they don't want to believe. They believe one thing, don't believe the next. Mm-hmm. And this is what the president has done. President Trump couldn't get nothing done since he's been in office because of the Democratic Party up there and the establishment that want to continue to hold power. No, these people have got to realize we elect them to office to work for us. I don't work for them. And this is what this whole country has completely lost. This is what our politicians has completely lost. And I'm electing people into office, and I will support a candidate. Even if a JFK comes through board, if it's a blue dog Democrat, if they have the ideology of a JFK, then we sit down and talk about it at the round table. But until then, there's no way in chance and green earth that I'm gonna be voting for Joe Biden or anybody on the Democratic ballot.
And that's fine, Josh. I understand that. But now listen to this. Try to answer me this question, please. You're a young kid. You're 25 years old. How do you feel about all these families that came? They worked. They had their kids, bringing them. The kids didn't make the choice. They brought them in, and they grew. They graduated and stuff, and they don't have not even a privilege. They don't know any other country but this one. What are we doing about that? Why is President Trump against our DACA recipients? Why is that? They're young kids. They're the future of this country.
I'm against DACA. I want DACA to be done with. DACA is the way to skip the line for the people that come in this country, and the people that come in this country want to come into this country legally. They wait years on end. Years. DACA is nothing besides a sham that skips the line. People are talking about, what about these families that's being split up? I feel bad for these families. I do. I truly do. But at the same time, I look at this, is that the parents knew what they was doing before they was coming to take that journey, before they coming across that southern border illegally. They knew what the consequences was. They knew that they would get caught. That's why we have
Josh, not all families came into the country illegally. Some of these people have arrived here with a legalized visa. They let it die, they let it expire, and they stay here working. But they didn't show up.
They overstayed their visa because they overstayed their visa. They don't want to go back. When they get caught at the southern border, they go through my court system when my taxpayer has to pay for this. And then we say, hey, like Obama say, hey, we'll see you in 5 years. We'll see you in 10 years. Never return. Never return. That's not right for the people that's been waiting in line for 15 or 20 years to get legally come to this country. That's not fair to them people.
But you also got to think about those foreign countries make it hard on some of these people, and they kind of force them to cross the border illegally because they don't give them any good choices. They hijack their money. They ask for so many requirements in order to come or give them the visas. So they have to do whatever they can to survive and bring their families in.
Well, I think this has been one of the liveliest conversations we've had since, and I appreciate having this conversation because as a country,
Kristen, I have one last question for Josh. Josh, are you first or last generation in citizenship here?
I'm last.
So your parents also came illegally?
We are my mom has came here legally, and let me tell you the background of my story real quick, because this is why I am totally against illegal immigrants coming across that southern border illegally. not only Mexicans. I'm talking about all illegal immigrants. At the end of the day, I grew up in a poorhouse family. There's people in my family that are not legal, and they want me to protect them. I feel so sorry for them. I love them to death, but they have to come to this country legally. I don't care if they're my family. It's what you call hard love, because I cannot show favoritism to my own family and not say this. My father is illegal. My mother is legal. I'm the last child out of the whole bunch of childs. Trust me, I'm the baby. But I'm not going to show favoritism to my own family that are here in my country legally.
Another thing, even though people are undocumented here in the United States, let me tell you, if I go with a family that is undocumented to the grocery store and we buy the same groceries, we both buy and pay taxes for each. I am sick and tired of hearing people saying undocumented people don't pay taxes. Let me tell you, they do. They report. They try to live their legally life the way it should be, because they're dreaming that one day law changes and they can become legalized and they can show.
Do they pay taxes on what comes in?
They pay taxes on everything.
Yeah, they pay taxes. They just don't get it back. So, I mean, yeah. One of the things I will say, Josh, that, you know, what you're saying and what you feel is not uncommon. There are many people who obviously President Trump wouldn't have gotten elected. So I mean, obviously you're not saying something that it is those of us who don't like what we're hearing. Sometimes it's difficult for us to understand that, but this is the reason we started the show. We started this show because we wanted to have people around the table here at Casa de Cano who had different points of view so we could understand where they're coming from, because we can't understand each other unless we hear what they have to say. And one of the things that I hear quite often from people who support President Trump is similar to what you're saying, but I also hear almost in their voices that they feel like they have been abandoned by other politicians, that they have not been listened to, or and so forth. And so as a Democratic Libertarian, we do a very bad job of talking to people that aren't white women or white gay people. We do a really bad job because those are the donors and the influencers. We don't really do a good job talking to rural Black voters, rural Latino voters, rural white voters. We don't do a good job, and we have to admit that we don't do a good job. Give an example: the two people that are running for Senate, Tom Tillis and Cal Cunningham.
Three people who are running for Senate.
Oh, well, that's right. I'm sorry. You're right. Thank you, Stephen. Senator Tillis is the only one that has been talking about immigration reform. Cal Cunningham has not talked about immigration reform. And so of those two individuals, Tom Tillis is more like Ronald Reagan, and Cal Cunningham, I don't know what he'd say. He just says a bunch of stuff. He never really says actually anything other than, you know.
Just talk.
Exactly. And so it's interesting when I, like as a Democratic Libertarian, when I bring up those concerns about Cal Cunningham, people automatically say, you're trying to kill me. You're trying to all this rhetoric. And so, no, I'm just telling you what I see. And one of the reasons, you just don't like what you're hearing, you know? And so is Tom Tillis a perfect senator? Of course he's not. But he is talking about some issues that are important to my family and to other people's families. And Cal Cunningham, when you ask him specific questions, I was in Afghanistan and I joined 9/11. That was 20 freaking years ago. You're still milking the 9/11, you know, join the military type of thing, you know? And so for me, that's kind of how I speak. So I hear what you have to say. We are running over.
I agree with you. You know, that's something I can agree with you on.
Yeah.
I was sitting at the GOP office yesterday at the Republican headquarters, and we were watching this debate go on. I don't know if you sat and watched it last night.
I did.
It was a little train wreck on both sides there. I hate to say, I may be a Republican, but I do call it what we call rhinos in our party. But I do agree with you on when people talk about, that they try to pull the military card. I don't care. Like I said, I don't care what you've done in the military. Thank you for your service. God bless you. Now tell me what you're really gonna do for the people. That's what I want. I don't care about your background right now. I want you to focus on what are you gonna do when you get into office. But I do agree with you. I 110% agree with you on that part.
Well, and I come from a military family, and I and Mama Ruth, we've always talked about this too, that everyone serves differently. Some people serve as homemakers, mothers, single parents. They serve as construction workers or diners or teachers. Everyone serves this country differently. And, there was a time, and we have to admit, after 9/11, a lot of white privileged college men joined the military just to get that on their, they joined as officers. They weren't grunts. They joined as officers, and they really joined. They didn't make a career out of it. They just joined it to get it on the resume so they could run for office. And they will tell you that was one of the reasons that they joined. And so we thank them because many people sacrificed to fight for this country in that time period. But I do think it's so disingenuous 20 years later to still be milking the, after 9/11, I joined the military. Thank you. Everyone else had to work.
The only thing that I would love to see in our country, besides, leaving all that hatred behind, it's to allow and give opportunities to the families that are already here. I understand, yes, that y'all want to change the border and blah, blah, blah. Of course, I want protection for my family as well. And I've mentioned it before. I do agree that we don't want crooks coming into our country. I do agree with all that. But why not giving the opportunity of those kids that raised themselves here in this country? They graduated, they work, they pay their taxes, they're showing the prosperity, and they're showing that they love this country like with all their heart. Why not giving them, those families, an opportunity? And let's take care of the rest. But let's focus on the families here that are needing all our help. Let's try to show our love. He mentioned his secret button was love. Let's show our love by doing things that are right.
Well,
I got to say, Mama Ruth, it sounds like you have the libertarian position on immigration, so you should consider voting gold this November.
So on that note, we're going to end the show. We went over a couple of minutes, and I do thank you because we do value your time. I do want to let you know that we are still having the Two Queers in a Truck show. It is just one now. And my guest virtual person that I'm picking up is Kyle Kirby. He is running for North Carolina State.
Kyle is a Republican. We love him.
So he will be on the show in about 20-25 minutes. We've cut it to a half hour so we don't bore you, but we'll be throwing shade.
Y'all eat the fries and the unsweetened tea for me.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we're not actually going to pick him up this time. We're going to do it virtual, so we'll kind of have a little fun. So please join us on that. So I also want to say, Josh, Cynthia Wallace, you need to meet her. I know you probably don't support her, you don't vote her. Her family were farmers in Georgia. She knows the rural area. She is a really, person to talk to her.
Person to talk.
I don't think she's going to convince you to vote for her, but she really is I wouldn't support her unless I thought she was a genuine person who, when that person got into office, that they would fight for everyone. She's not, she's a Democrat, but she really is. She's got a smart lady. And I do hope that
you just mentioned something, and we have to learn this. I have a friend that just made a comment on my page, and it's true. This is not about being Republican or Democrat. And we said it before. Yeah. It's whoever fits the right shoes. Yeah. Whoever agrees, and I believe that he's going to do and represent me the right way, that's who we're going to vote for.
It's all about left and right. It's all about Republican or Democrat this election, because I cannot vote for a party that wants socialism and they teach these kids that socialism is good. I'm not going to pay for somebody else's kid to go to college. I'm not going to pay for somebody else's health care. There, like I said, end of the day,
Josh, you got to think about our world, whole world. It's going to become socialism, and we're all going to be marching into one little thing. That's for sure. And you watch. That's going to be the right. You know, we're just focusing here, but let me tell you, the old new or whatever the worldwide union countries, they're all agreeing, and we're over here battling from between each other, and they're the ones that are making the right decisions for the country. They're not asking us. Why do you think I go to the stores and they don't want to give me no change? Because there's no change. Come on, they want to socialize. Is that because of the Democrats? No, it's because something's going on around the world.
Well, I certainly hope the world doesn't go socialist.
I do kind of have a feeling of it, yes.
Like, for example,
I might be wrong.
Hey, Christian, real quick.
It might be the margaritas in this coffee.
Go ahead, Josh.
Real, with Cynthia Wallace, you know, she actually got I'm a blunt guy. I'm a straight up for guy. I don't sugarcoat nothing. But you know, Dan Bishop will win this election. In order for her to win this election, she has to take Union County. Union County is one of the massive.
Believe me, I'm here in Union County. Yeah.
And another thing is, she has to eye Richmond County and Moore County. Ninth District has got more conservative than any other district so far. Because if you look at Dan Bishop when he ran, was it last September? Yeah. Lord, we had a congressman. No, we didn't have a congressman. What, 2 years? Yeah. But long story short, real quick is Dan Bishop did something, and I supported Robert Pittenger when he ran. I helped him out. I knocked thousands of doors for him. I'm out 7 days a week. Either I'm doing politics, or I take 2 or 3 days and I work from 9 o'clock in the morning till the sun goes down and the bugs start biting, knocking doors. I mean, that's why I love grassroots. But long story short, real quick, is that she really has to worry about Richmond County, which is my county, which is a heavily Democratic county, but it actually turned red when Dan Bishop won. He won that county by 474 votes.
Yeah.
As
a matter of fact, I won Richmond County and Robeson County and Ensign County. So, but I got killed in Union County. So I completely agree with you.
Oh, you were winning Ensign County. I hate to say that, you were winning Ensign County, man. I was joking around with somebody. I'm like, let me tell you something. If a Republican goes in that county, they better have more Republicans than are Democrats in that county, because the Democrats, I have to give it to the Democratic Party in Ensign County. It's a solid Democratic Party there.
Yeah, it is. Well, listen, we've run out of time, and stay on this call so we can do the promo for the show. But we're going to end the live feed on Facebook. And once again, we're going to go around the Brady Bunch screen. Tell us. I
just want to say thank you to all the viewers. We had great participants. When we're done here, we'll be reading all the comments and stuff. Thank you to Lucis Chancha. She's a young girl also. She's very activist because she knows where her roots are. And I love her to death. So thank you for putting in. Maria Ventura, she's a great person. Joe Garcia, thank you. Yes, he's over here cheering for Steven. So, and
Joe Garcia is a great guy.
Mercedes, I don't know you, but I hate battling just for a party. Thank you so much anyways for interacting, and I hope y'all keep in touch with us.
Yes, exactly. So we're going to go around the Brady Bunch screen. Tell us where you're going to be in 30 seconds or less, because I got the bell back there somewhere. And then stay on the call so we can do the promo, and then we're going to disconnect with Facebook. So the way it looks like here, Josh, tell us, you go first, Mama Ruth, and we'll end with Steve, and then we'll end with me. Okay, Josh, tell us where you're going to be.
Wait, hang on. I lost communication.
Oh, no, that's fine. I talk too fast. Tell us where you're going to be. If anything you want to tell us over the next week, what's going on, what you want people to know, where you're going to be, all that kind of stuff.
Well, like I said, 25 years old. I'm a hardcore conservative activist for the Latino community, and so I'm actually, when I leave here, when I get with the show, I will be going to Gaston. I'm actually in Gaston County right now. So And so I'll be traveling around North Carolina, hitting. So tomorrow. I'll be in Wake County. The next day I'll be in Rockingham County. So I'll be in the next 4 to 5 days. I'll probably hit about 8 or 9, 10 counties. So I'll be traveling a lot.
Excellent. Mama Ruth?
I'll be here at home. I am getting ready for our parties. You know, we have so many, 5 family members, just in my household for the month of September.
Oh, wow.
So my granddaughter will be her first year this coming Sunday. It's her big old party. I hope if you don't have any plans, Christian, join us.
Yeah.
You've been part of this process. And that's about it. I really, we need to mobilize our Latinos to learn more. We've been saying it for the past 3 years already. To learn more, who are we deciding for? I want to shout out to our Union County. They brought us our ballots yesterday, our door to door, so we can kind of go through the list and learn who's running what, because we only hear about the famous ones, but we don't really know deep inside. There's a big changes in the next 4 years, and we got to make sure, what do we want? Not for me, for my kids, for my grandkids, and for my household. So stay tuned, and don't forget, there's Steven. Steven has a lot of good things in his page. Go out and check them out. You know, you never know. If you don't want to vote for no one else and you're independent like I am, that's a good choice. He's a great guy, and I think he'll make a difference.
Yeah, and to speak to that point, I'll be on the campaign trail this weekend. It is now time to put out our signs on the side of streets and stuff like that. So I believe in doing work yourself as well. So I have hundreds of signs that my better half wants out of the living room. So
let Joe get in touch with me, tell him to bring me one, because I do support you.
Oh yeah,
families will probably be split up in our votes, but
I'll bring one over myself. If I can make a door-to-door delivery, they look kind of like this.
Oh, cool.
Ooh, I like
so
that.
they're very beautiful. So if you are interested, dear viewer at home, and a Steve for Governor sign, or one of our bumper stickers, or one of our campaign pins, or anything like that, shoot me an email on my website, or on Facebook, or social media, Instagram, Twitter, whichever one you want to follow, and I'll make sure that either I or one of our staff members gets you that item.
Now, just in parentheses, I'm making a disclaimer. I like Steven as a person, but if there would be other worse candidates and stuff, and it's between him and those candidates and pushing our governor, I will go for Steven. But let me tell y'all, Governor Cooper has done a terrific, everything that he has handled, I know is hard, and I don't want to be in his shoes. So shout out to them as well, because I know that position is very hard and it's tough, because you can't please everyone.
Keeping business shuts is doing a great job.
Well, I will be, this is the first weekend that we aren't going camping since May. So Mama Ruth, we may have some time. So I will be watching football, I'm sure, all weekend long, and all that kind of stuff. Also, I do want to say something really funny. So one of our neighbors was walking up our street here in Old Providence, and she and I had been talking about, when I go out to visit our in-laws out in Lincoln County, you see a lot of Trump yard signs, but also Trump flags. And I had kind of made a joke about how I just thought it was funny that these people had Trump flags, because the flags sunk those boats in Austin, Texas, and all that kind of stuff. So I said, maybe I should get a Biden flag. And she said, you already have a Biden flag in your house. And I didn't get her joke. She was talking about this flag. So she said, all the people who have these flags in their houses are the ones that have Biden flags. I thought that was really kind of humorous. No disrespect to the Trump individuals, but wouldn't it be great if the Trump individuals were as proud of their Trump flag as they were of their American flag? To me, that's just a little take on that. And I'm sure I had to say that why Josh, because I'm sure he'll say something. Charles like, I have the American flag. Yeah. Anyway, that was kind of a joke, because it was kind of funny the way she kind of said it. You do have a Biden flag. And I was like, you know what? All right, stay on. We're going to do the promo.
That's like me changing his cap, his hat, making it blue and put Make America Great.
Yeah. Hey, I will
what's
say,
the thing? Build Back Better or something like that?
Yeah, that's kind of complicated. Build Back Better. All right. Thank you, everyone. Wave. We're going to disconnect from Facebook and stay on so we can do the promo. Thank you all. Great conversation.
Bye.
Next week. Next week, our topic is Latinx Charlotte, Black and Latinx Charlotte. Are we adversaries or advocates? And we do have a special guest from Key West, Florida. His name is MJ. He was part of the Black Lives Matter group in Key West, and he'll be calling in to tell us what's been going on in Key West, Florida.
Wow, that's going to be interesting.
Yes, so stay with us next week. All right. Bye, y'all.
Bye.